And we are live. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. The podcast where we all get on here, talk a bit of footy with a lot of banter. I am this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. I'll say it this week, just like I say every week. It is a great week to be a Manchester United fan. Man, we have a spicy episode coming for you all. We have a lot to recap. There are some huge games, big fixtures. And to get the ball rolling, I'll introduce Mr. Nate Griffin. How you doing today, brother?
Cheers. How we doing, lads? Great. Even better to be an Arsenal fan this week, my friend. That's all I got to say.
We'll give you props on the front end because I don't know if there will be giving you any props the rest of the episode. You showed up. Lucas Winkleman just absence this week. You did text in our group saying that you have plenty of positive outlooks and positive spins to place on tonight's episode. I have no idea what you're going to say because I've tried to think of any positive thing coming out of Arsenal's camp right now, and I can't. So I'm excited to hear whatever it is that you have. Yeah, sure, but it's flawed. But from one optimist to another, Andy Hoover, how are you doing, brother?
I would say I'm an optimist for sure. Not about this football club. I'm good. Things are fine in my real life. I tell myself every once in a while, I told my girlfriend this week, I was like, football's fake at the end of the day. None of it's real. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. Whatever. Just you can't let it affect your day some days. So but yeah, doing swell. Happy to be here. We've got a jam-packed one, so strap in.
Happy to have you, bro. She was saying in the car the other night, she was like, I can't imagine supporting a club halfway across the world to where it affects your actual mental health on a daily basis. I was like, that's what we do, bro.
It's crazy. It's terrible.
It's crazy. Speaking of mental health and someone who's going through the ringer over there, Nick Hayflinger, Chelsea fan, in the chat today. Thanks for showing up. Number one. Number two, welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the words of wisdom from Mr. Hoove over there. I need to maybe start thinking about it that way because, man, does it affect my weekends, boys, because, wow, Chelsea has not been playing well and it's not fun to watch. So I'm here, though. You can find me, Hayfy4, on Twitter. I also have an honorary guest with me, as you can see from behind. Mr. Ryan Butchart is with us.
Officer Butchart.
Officer Butchart.
Officer.
My club currently doesn't have a person that I want to put as my background, so we're going to stick with Mr. Butchart for now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's almost Jake's birthday. It's Jake's birthday at the end of the week, and every single year I get him a Chelsea jersey for his birthday. It's just like a cool thing to collect. And like this year, I didn't because I was like, I don't think that there's any player, anything that he wants anything really. I mean, even that, like, I don't think that he would want anything. But last but certainly not least, my United brother, Connor Sindobri. What's going on, bro?
I'm glad you ended with me. It got a little depressing from those last three to start the show here.
True.
Everybody a little negative. I was a little bit sad over here. What's going on, fellas? It's your boy Dobes. I'm happy to be here. As Hen said, another great week. To be a United fan, the only people on here still in two competitions. So it's a great week to talk about. We had some spicy games this weekend. It's the business end of the Prem, both the top and the bottom, to talk some City. So happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, happy to have you, dude. And like Connor said, we have a lot to get into tonight. As always, we're going to jump into our weekly recap. We have some flowers and showers for you all. And lastly, we will end the episode recapping St. Louis City, as we always do. So starting off with our weekly recap, we're going to get Chelsea out of the way quick and early, coming off of a 2-0 loss to the I'm not worried about them finishing above me Brentford. Nick, anything to say about this game? Anything you want to say, or are you just here for the vibes tonight?
I love that introduction. I mean, about the game, no, not really. I know as I'm looking at this outline, you have Lampard on there, and I talked about it, I think, a couple of podcasts ago that I liked him, or I didn't say I liked him, but I didn't hate him joining, and now I'm eating those words because I'm hoping we win a game while he's our coach. That's kind of where we're at. And on a recap of the game, We had majority of the possession. Brentford scored on their chances, and our best chances came from Thiago Silva and Conte. So that's really all I have to say about our offensive threat moving forward. But yeah, really don't have much to say else about our club. I mean, it's not fun watching. So yeah, hoping
Goal of the
for
month was easy.
some
I was
excitement.
getting ready to
Yeah,
ask.
goal of the month was Conor Gallagher's goal. That was a deflection goal. It really wasn't even that good of a goal in my opinion. So yeah, we're in a bad spot as a club.
You guys are playing.
It's definitely not good.
You're playing wingers and crossing balls into the box to Sterling.
Yep.
That's what are we do? Well, that's great. Like,
We call that a
bro,
Lampard
I know.
masterclass.
It's awful.
Masterclass.
And like I was saying, like I rewatched the highlights again today because I'm not gonna lie, when we watched the game, it was during the City Arsenal game. So I had both games going on and my attention was obviously more drawn to the other game. And that's the first, it's funny, I think I told Henry that was the first time I think as a Chelsea supporter that I was watching kind of an Arsenal game over a Chelsea game at the time. But like I went back and rewatched the highlights, and one of our best chances was a cross from Conte on the wing to Thiago Silva in the middle, and like that's just like that can't be happening.
1-2 punch,
we
man.
spent how much
Dynamic duo.
we spent how much money on wingers, and like it's just it's not fun right now. Our lineup was Conor Gallagher and Raheem Sterling moving forward. Like that was our only offensive threat. We're not scoring goals right now, so like I very confusing for
I think
the Chelsea
the best positive you have right now is Conte looks great.
Yes, I will say
motoring, bro.
I will say that
he is all over the pitch, and you guys can't get anything together.
He almost looks he like towards the end of the game he looked frustrated. Like I don't blame him at all. Like he's trying and he's working his ass off. But yeah, not good. And also Reece James being out for the rest of the year, Mason Mount being out for the rest of the year, not great news. But yeah, so
Nick, do you like the Pochettino rumors? Is that something?
So I'm not gonna say I love it, but I definitely don't hate it. And as long as it's a long-term like deal and like agreement, then I'm all for it. I think I don't want to go down that path of bringing in a manager and then firing them immediately. Like I want the next manager we bring in to be like a long-term deal. And I hope that that's kind of what they're bringing in. I will say one thing that did intrigue me today with the Poach rumors was I also saw a rumor that Harry Kane would probably be interested in Chelsea a little bit more. If Poach were to
saw that too. I thought that was really interesting.
I did too. I don't think there's a chance that happens. But you know, hey, that's the only positive for me this week. I'll take it.
Are you like genuinely though? Are you sure that Harry Kane would want to play in the championship? Like, I mean, like seriously,
he might win a trophy there.
Yeah. Hey, the Europa Conference League is gonna look great with that banner hung up in that $1 billion stadium, bro. It's gonna be a fire one.
I will say this is always as enjoyable. Like I was telling Griff this weekend that every time that like United sucks, it's just like I just think about Chelsea. It's like we look terrible.
Great.
It's like 2-2. Oh fuck, Tottenham came back. It's like God, thank the Lord we're not in the relegation battle. Like thank God we're not Chelsea.
Could be that guy.
Hey,
couldn't be me.
It's really good to know that Chelsea lives rent free in both your head at all times. So
for the betting listeners too.
Yeah.
Dude, the betting listeners here, if you didn't see that Brentford plus 235 pick, you missed out. You missed out because the boys in here cashed a little bit of money on that one. Pulled myself out of a nice hole. So thank you, Brentford.
All right, now can we move on now?
Well, I was gonna say we're not gonna dive too heavily into the game moving forward because Arsenal does have a bigger game later on. But you play Arsenal, Nick. Your upcoming game is against Arsenal. Is this kind of you have no idea what to expect, or is this something that you expect to get slaughtered, or like how are you feeling going into this game?
I definitely have no idea what to expect. I'm hoping the fact that it is an Arsenal game and kind of a derby it is a derby. I'm hoping that that brings some energy to our side because that's definitely one thing that we've been lacking is any sort of energy and fight in our games. So I'm hoping that may urge us and get us going a little bit. But as far as in form and where we've been playing, I don't see anything special from us. So I wouldn't be surprised of a slaughter, like you said, but hoping for a good game because it is a derby and hoping we come out with at least some sort of fight.
Should be something fun. Should be something fun to watch. And
hey,
the
Anthony Taylor's not the ref, so we
thing,
may have a chance.
anything can
That's
happen.
the least
really.
of your problems.
The last thing I'll say about this Chelsea side before we move on, Frank Lampard's record as a Premier League manager this season, so that includes Everton and Chelsea, 23 games, 14 losses, 6 draws, and 3 wins. That is a 13% win rate, and that man has a job for at least another 8 weeks, whatever it is. It's incredible. It's honestly incredible.
One of us
hasn't won.
I wish I could.
it's
I wish I could.
one of us.
Same, dude. I'm like, I'm pretty good. Like I have some smiles in me. I can give some high fives.
Yeah,
I could do that.
Frank Lampard, the English Ted Lasso.
No, that my mom literally thinks we're in a season of Ted Lasso. She's like, "What the fuck's going on, Nick?" I'm like, "I don't know, Mom."
Yeah, way worse vibes over there than Ted Lasso. But really, all eyes on Wednesday were on the game. It was the Manchester City versus Arsenal demolition, really, of the Arsenal Football Club. Now I imagine, Griff, that going into this game, you, alongside your other delusional Arsenal fans, were really pumped up. You thought that this was going to be the year that you were going to go show Pep what was up, and you just didn't. You got fucking slaughtered. And how does it feel a week out now? Title chance is gone. How are you feeling?
I want to set this up by letting you know. So I have limited PTO.
No, I just set it up. No,
I took off my limited PTO and got Chick-fil-A, and I set this whole thing up. I was sitting there ready. I mean, when I tell you, and just from the get-go, we were out of our depth, man. It was tough to watch. Like, and the sad part is, give them the props because they're an incredible team. The last couple times we've played them well. Like it was not like what that was. Like having Saliba without Saliba really hurts, but it was tough because like we didn't offer much going forward. Honestly, we were lucky to get out of the half 2-0, even though you can't convince me that was a goal that John Stones was onside.
Yeah, that's still crazy.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's tough. Wild.
Granted, they probably deserved at least 2. Ramsdale played, stood on his head besides the first one, and they just looked. I mean, they're just in form, man. You got to give them as much praise as humanly possible because they've hit stride at the most clutch time of the season, going into the Champions League semifinal, going into the title chase in the end of the season, and I would just love for once, just for one game we play them, to have our full starting 11. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say,
dude.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Why do you think you would have won? Do you think?
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say we win, but at least you understand William Saliba, and then his here, and then Rob Holding is somewhere below. I can't go lower on my camera, but he's down here. Okay, I think that and just the way he frees up our press and makes Thomas Partey's job a lot easier, and it equates to a lot in the team. And then having Tomiyasu hurt too, and I don't want to hear it from any of these guys because Ericsson's been hurt and Savitzer's tough too, and then we got Chelsea. Well, we got 10 guys that are hurt, so this season's a wash. I like all you guys have said the same thing.
So it's 2-0 with Holding out instead because Holding's doesn't score and you still allow 2 goals.
That's fair. That's fair. But I just think we play a different way having Saliba in the team, or even if Tomiyasu's not hurt and we can slide in Ben White and have Tomiyasu on the right. It changes the way we play. If you watch any of our games from the beginning of the season, even when if Saliba wasn't here, even last year, where we were able to slide Ben White in the right center back and then Tomiyasu on the right, our back four is so much steadier. Like our ability to press and our ability to keep the ball is miles ahead. Granted, City pressed us really well, but I think the tactics they used were like Pep outsmarted Arteta, it seemed, in the tactics. But I just think, like that guy's like he'd be the best chess player in the world if he put his mind to it. I think like that's just how crazy he is, dude. Like, but I'm not making excuses. I'm saying I'd like to play them at full strength. That's all I was saying. They won. We didn't look good. They look incredible. I think you place any team against them right now, and they do the same thing. Like it's that kind of form they're in right now.
You better
Yeah,
hope.
I
You better hope
mean,
not.
yeah.
They looked a
Like,
little shaky against Fulham, to be fair. So
I mean, sure, you get Saliba in there. I'm not going to deny that Saliba makes your
Yes.
back line better because that would
Thank
be
you.
foolish to deny that. You guys got fucked on like everywhere on the field. It's not just Rob Holding. I mean, Kevin De
no,
Bruyne,
that's fair.
we know that like he's best whenever he's given a free roll. I mean, that man was free as free gets. I mean, when you
Yeah.
go back and watch those highlights, especially that first one, Thomas Partey was in no man's land trying to track him back. He was, I mean, nowhere to be found. And yes, Holland made Holding look like a little boy twice in hold up play.
Yeah,
Boy.
I would say Holland has to
but-
get some praise
Yes.
for his hold up play. in
dude,
that game.
Holland was the key. Like I watched,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I watched video on video of the tactical breakdown of what Pep did, and they did this Brighton false press
Yeah.
situation to where they had the front three guys in triangles and completely out of the game, and then Holland's gonna win every single flighted ball against Rob Holding, so they picked him because obviously. And Thomas Partey just got lost underneath. Like he was not in the game and kept telling. You're right. That point you made about him, I think, was correct because he kept pointing at Holding to like pull up and get De Bruyne, and Holding was like, "No, I can't."
They didn't want
So
that
then-
smoke from De Bruyne.
No,
Yeah.
De Bruyne was just free, dude. It was. I think they were soul crushed out of the gate. And I think they knew they were out of their depth. And I think emotionally that's hard to come back from when playing a team with that kind of quality. But I'm going to leave it because I could say a lot and these guys have more to say. But
I think not to just rip on Rob Holding because he's done well for us. Like it's tough to come in as a sub against the super team.
He was your
City
highest rated player
against
on the
best.
field. He got the highest
that
rating.
might be fair, but that's what I was gonna say was look, you can't just blame him, but like Partey was not good. Jesus wasn't good. Zinchenko wasn't good. Like it's crazy that our best players just from watching were like the guys who are 21 years old. Like that says a lot about some of the seniors who need to look in the mirror and be like, what the hell happened? Because like you said, Partey looked lost. Like on the first goal, you're watching 38-year-old De Bruyne and sprinting by him. Like this guy's jogging like he's in the park. And we're like, what is going on? Yeah.
I mean, I was
frustrating.
I was so thrilled watching this game.
Frustrating.
Not only because I wanted Arsenal to lose in the manner that they lost, but watching City play this well was gorgeous. It was beautiful to watch. But I have to admit, from like a football lover, it was pretty disappointing watching this Arsenal side. The guys that you just mentioned, the Parties, the Zinchenkos, the Gabriel Jesuses, the guys that you really have relied on all season long. And I can't tell you how many videos I've been sent or like tweets I've seen of Zinchenko pulling everyone together and people being like, this is the leader that we needed. And he's the signing of the season, completely transforming this Arsenal side. And then when they needed him most, he just completely fell apart.
Dude, the expressions guy, that video I sent you, he called him Binchenko, the passion merchant. I was so fucking weak. He does everything on the field but defend his position.
Look, I could spin this. I got just a phrase to spin this where this is the most positive thing in the world. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, lay it on us, man.
This is this right here. Second youngest team in the league. Nobody picked to finish in the top 4 besides one crazy guy. I called him crazy against the state team of the UAB with all their money and the best striker in the whole world. And somehow you guys are drilling us.
This is crazy
about it. We got Man U fans cheering for City. I have never seen scenes like this before.
Get it out. Get it out. All right.
So Nate,
let's get to brass tacks here, fellas. Let's call a spade. Like this is the biggest bottle job in Premier League history.
Yeah, bro.
No question.
Yeah, bro.
But
I was about to say so
the days
so
spent
Nate,
on
are
the
you
team.
like admitting that you guys are not going to win?
Find your team.
hang
below
on.
us.
You know what? You can show it. You can do whatever you got to do. But here's the nature of this collapse. Like, it shouldn't be a surprise. Like, this is the Arsenal DNA. Like, this is like 2002, 2003. They were 8 points clear, bottled it. Guess who won the title? United. 2007, 2008. They
Somehow I twisted that around.
the majority of the year. 2009, 2010, again, one of their supposed to be their best teams in forever, bottled it. 2010, 2011, bottled it. 13, 14, bottled it. And the list goes on and on. This is just another one in the long list of Arsenal bottle jobs. It has taken Arteta, this will be his 4th season, to do what Ole did in his 1st season. He's about to finish 2nd. He's about to equal the Ole record of 2nd place, baby. Let's go, Mikel, yeah.
Bro, you understand. Like, I think there's this, that you got this sort of thing. You don't realize that your team over the last 6 years has probably spent as much as Chelsea did this past summer.
100%.
Versus us,
100%.
we were Deadwood FC 2 years ago.
You are so right. You are. I can't
Like,
even tell you. I can't even tell you how right you are. But
You
that
guys
doesn't
are-
mean that you guys didn't bottle the absolute shit out of this. Like, are you kidding me?
Okay.
The City
No, no, no.
lost. The City lost.
No other
is deserved.
competitions.
The City loss is deserved. Like, if you lose to just City, like,
Twice.
fine. City's an unreal side. But if you go back and look at the last month and the 2-2 draw and the results that have sort of happened
Taylor,
up to City,
Southampton.
if you go into City up 10 points, if you go into City up 12 points or whatever it is, you can lose and you're still set, win the rest of your games. But that's why I think it's not even just the City game. That's why I think it's more of a bottle that people are saying, because it's not one game and you just lost the league. It's you had this lead and you gave City the chance to get back into it is the only reason I think it is about. I won't call it the biggest in Premier League history,
I will.
but it's got to be. I mean,
how can you? There's no way. Like, I won't accept that because of several reasons. The first,
Did Arsenal
being,
bottle it with more points previously, or was
don't know.
12
No.
points the?
No. I don't have the full history of bottling, but it's one thing if we came into the season and we're the preseason favorites, or even the preseason second favorites, or even the preseason third, fourth, and fifth favorites, bro.
No,
you were talking
when
about
you're-
booking. This man was talking about booking flights to London for the open bus parade.
dude. You spent
we won.
93% of the
If we
season in
won.
first place. You called it a dynasty.
You're telling
Yeah,
me
bro.
this
You
is
guys-
the same
Here's the
argument.
smoke.
If you're telling me Spurs didn't do the exact same thing that Arsenal just did, you wouldn't be fucking showing me these things, these water bottles in the screen, bro. It would be a huge bottle. I would be over here like we bottled the fuck out of it.
I
bro.
feel like if City bottled it, that would be a huge bottling because they are the best team in the world with the best striker and they spend all this money. But it's hard to say it when you have our best players are 21 years old. They're gonna get better. Mikel Arteta himself said
the attitude has so changed. It's insane.
Let me ask you a
plan.
question.
We're gonna keep.
Let me
getting
ask you a
better.
question. So if you didn't bottle it, that means you overperformed this season, correct?
Yeah.
I think that's true.
So you overperformed expectations.
I
1,010%.
So assess to me honestly, how good do you think Arsenal is? If you just take away all the results and you say these are my expectations for Arsenal Football Club, this is where they finish. What is that number?
Like at the beginning of the season or right now?
You tell me, brother. It seems
Okay,
like your
okay.
mind is changing
Okay.
it week. So
No,
it could be today,
no,
maybe
no.
next, or it could be the beginning of the
I've
season.
stayed steady on the fact you we were you guys didn't even have us in the top four. I bet I at the time was like we'll be better, but top four would be the goal. And when we started playing the way we did, then obviously it's great. We're 23 wins, 6 draws, 4 losses. Like
You're not answering the question. What are your expectations? Like
for the rest of the season, all you can do now is win out. All you can do is win. We haven't lost in 3 months. We've tied to shit teams. That's totally fair, and we haven't played our best at all. But I think it's tough. I'm not going to call it a bottle. You guys can call it a bottle. I get it, but we'll be back next year. We'll be better, and we'll
it's
just keep
either a
going from there.
bottle or you're overperforming. It's like
I agree with
that's what it
overperform.
is.
I feel like that's a fair point. Overperforming is a fair point.
I agree that it's a fair point, but you also have to realize that like every single rival fan will forever have the ability to call it a bottle. Like, yeah, you guys are young. You guys
Because it is.
You guys will get better. I think
Yep.
I think what plays such a factor in my mind is that, like, I think this may have been your best chance
Agreed.
because, like,
Oh yeah.
I genuinely think
100%.
like United,
I'm with you.
hopefully, God, please let the Qataris buy us. Like City's going to get better. Like you have to hope if Chelsea like has to get better, like Spurs might get, you never know. Like Liverpool will be better. Like all, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to improve. So I think that's what makes like the moment right now. And it's not necessarily over yet, although we probably think it is, but that's why I think like this might have been the best shot just to do it because of the circumstances of how the other clubs are.
I 100% agree with that. And I think all you can do now is win out. We have some tough games coming up. All you can do is win out and hope that somehow fate plays a hand. Maybe that somebody gets hurt or the Champions League run-ins or the FA Cup final plays a role in being tired and you go from there. I mean, I wish we would have won. I mean, I think really the killer was Liverpool. We played so well, and then to get the two goals scored, that hurt.
Yep.
And then Southampton back to back. And like I think it's like we had individual errors in both of those games that like we hadn't had previously, and somehow we had gotten by it or scored or got a late goal. Like I don't know if you want to call it luck running out or whatever you want to call it. It's been a tough run, but like even in our tough run, we haven't lost in I don't know what the number is. The last loss was City, but before that, I mean we can look. It's hard to say we haven't played well considering.
I think the thing is like we just know how good City is. So like we're saying this is over, and I'm not trying to say this to provide false hope, but like the City team has just been so good. But like we've seen just how on any given day that anybody can get caught. Like we saw City tied 1-1 for the majority of the game this weekend. So like, but that's also saying that Arsenal is going to win the rest of their games. So
Yeah.
I do think
That's not a given.
I would love to see like City drop points and like Arsenal make this interesting just for like a neutral perspective. But like it's just the form that City's in. It's just so hard to see them dropping any more points at all.
Well, I'm curious, Griff. Like your next game, you know, other than the Chelsea game, which we'll skip over because Nick kind of touched on that, but you have a really big one with Arsenal Newcastle. That's a huge game. It's second and third.
They're
I think
flying.
that's what second and third right now. They're notorious for defense. And I don't know off the top of my head if that's at the Emirates or if that's at home for Newcastle. But what do you think going into that game? Yeah, I mean that place is a fortress to play in. So how are you feeling with that? That's got to be a big game that you're circling right now.
Yeah. But by the way, haven't lost our last loss was to Everton on February 4th. We haven't lost
when you guys got diced.
We got diced. But that's the last loss. So it's hard to say we've been out of form. Just been more ties than wins. And City's literally won the last 50 games. So but
yeah, but it's like to be at the top, you can't drop points. It doesn't mean that you don't lose, but you just can't drop points. I mean, it's why Newcastle is sitting where they are. Like, I mean, I feel like Andy hit it on the head like every week. They're like the Newcastle team that just ties every single week because that's what they do. Like, they're not losing, but they're not picking up 3 points. So it's like the expectation when you want to win the league, you can't be dropping 2 points.
No, 100%. I think that we play Newcastle and Brighton, and those two games will determine if there's even a race. Like I really do think that's going to come down to those. No disrespect to Chelsea, that game's at home. I feel pretty good about it. You still got to tough it out though. It's not going to be an easy game. But Newcastle, they're flying right now, and I think all you can do is be excited. Like we have a young, talented team. They're up and coming. Like hopefully there's fireworks, and I mean hopefully we pull out. I like to think that we exited the game. The game at the Emirates, the reverse fixture, we were the better team. They were wasting time. They scored a cheeky goal, and then it was just an ugly game from there. So it might be more of that. Maybe the St. James factor plays a role, and it's more open. But
that place is tough to go, dude. Fucking they
very tough.
Us. They bodied us there.
Yeah, you fucking think, huh?
Yeah.
6-1. Yeah.
I told you guys too. I would have put any amount of money on Newcastle that game. I was like, it's gonna be a bloodbath, and
showing up.
It's a mentality thing. Same with going to Anfield.
Also
Yeah.
wanted on the record that Everton game we were talking about that Arsenal lost. I texted Dobes on that day, February 4th, that this is the game that it's going to start their fall. So just wanted on the record.
We need
February
receipts.
4th.
baby.
We need receipts.
Receipts. You want me to share my screen right now? I have it pulled up. I literally went back
Well,
to try to find that message.
I will
I
say
agree with you.
the last thing I'll say, like there has to be something to being in first place and like with these guys being so young and now not having the lead. Like I almost wonder if like because the pressure is not exactly on Arsenal anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's like all the pressure has just after that game shifted directly to City. Now they've been there and done that, of course, but I wonder if this does like Arsenal doesn't respond a little bit more now because they don't have all this like
It's a
pressure
good
of
point. I didn't think about that.
bottling the title. It's like now they're playing in second, like with almost no pressure on them to do anything but just finish second, really. So like I wonder
think
if that may benefit a little bit.
that's a good point too. I like when you're so young, you haven't experienced a title race. I mean, we haven't been in the title race in a very long time. So like, I'm sure that plays a role. Inexperience, and then you have guys
Since
who've done it every
2013.
year.
We were in one for about a month this season.
It was
I don't even know
sick.
if you call it that.
Well, I think you're right. With Newcastle and Brighton, those are going to be some big tests for you all. As always, like we'll recap it when it happens. But we're going to glance over the Liverpool West Ham 2-1 victory for Liverpool. I don't know if you all got to watch that game, watch highlights. There was yet another situation where the guy slipped in the box, stopped the ball with his hand and no pen was called. David Moyes at the end of the game was pissed because West Ham got robbed. They got another goal called off for VAR. So Liverpool escaped that one with a 2-1 win. And Liverpool's kind of creeping their way up into Europe. I know that the first 60-70% of the season, we were just giving Butch endless amounts of shit about how they're not going to finish in Europe. And right now they're just moving their way up. So we'll talk about Liverpool in conjunction with Tottenham in a second, but just wanted to glance at that score line, which brings us to Tottenham United in a 2-2 game. That was tough to watch. It was really tough. I don't know, Hoover, if you want to take this first, Dobes, if you want to take this first, or one of the other two wants to say something, but okay.
We are going to have two completely conflicting opinions on this one. We can agree on one thing, and the one thing was Erik ten Hag thinks that he kills off games before your defense has the ability to actually kill off the game.
Fact.
And we've talked about it. And like that's been
fact.
a pretty repetitive conversation that we've had here on the pod. What your guys aren't going to agree with is that Tottenham for sure deserved to win the game in the second half, and Ryan Mason kind of has his shit together and outcoached Erik ten Hag in the second half 210%.
I'd agree with that.
I think I'm not ready to give Ryan Mason the job. That's what I will start with. I think that would be rash. There's too much talent. If you can't get someone like Nagelsmann or this fucking Feyenoord guy that's got them winning the league, I don't even Arnie Slot or some shit. I don't know. Ryan Mason is very competently putting together some really slick in-game tactics, and there's shining moments of brilliance. The play where Harry Kane was deep, he played about 10 minutes of that second half as a 10 underneath Danjuma and Heung-min Son, and it came from a poor touch from Fred, and he was in that deeper midfield position, picked it up. He's finding Son Heung-min 10 times out of 10 times there, and who still almost botched the goal, but yeah, I think, and it direct goal, and then the momentum was just with Spurs even after that. So I think it was more so a United collapse than it was a Tottenham, big time comeback. I think there's a lot of really positive things about the second half from a Spurs perspective, but you guys could have just shut the door and didn't. So,
dude, we didn't. So you said it just a second ago, but that's now like the fourth or fifth time that this has happened, where we've been up at least by 2 goals, sometimes more, and we just haven't seen games out. And what's weird about it is I think in previous games, Ten Hag has made substitutions that like we didn't agree with. This was not one of those games. Like when you look at the substitutions and when he brought him in, I was like, yeah, that's kind of fair. And we just fucking lost it. Like it was really, really sad to watch, especially with, you know, how dominant we were in the first half. Like, I mean, it looked like a training session for United in that first half. And just like you said, Hoof, we didn't kill the game off. We had an opportunity to go up, you know, 3-0, and we didn't, and it came back to bite us in the ass. I'll give full props to Ryan Mason. The halftime adjustment that he made in this game was massive. We saw it again in the Liverpool game, massive. It's nice to see a coach, especially someone so young, that can figure out what is the specific tweak to get the most out of their guys. Now, it's also a couple of games in a row. And this isn't new to the Ryan Mason era. Like the beginning of the season happened with Tottenham where they just start as slow as possible. Like they wait until a second half or late in the game to do anything at all. And this has now happened with Newcastle, United, and Liverpool once we get there, where they just start incredibly slow. I don't know what his halftime talks are like, but I mean, he's got to do something to inspire that team differently than he does before the game. It would be interesting if he just chose to have that talk prior to the game to see what could happen. But I agree with you. I think United fucking imploded on this one as well. A couple guys had good games, but a lot of guys just didn't have good enough games. It was really, really sad to watch. Dobes texted in the chat that this was, you know, worse than the Liverpool loss, and it certainly felt like a kick in the balls. Tying Tottenham.
Should have. I was laughing. I found that result to be so pleasing when you can walk away from a match with United down 2-0 at half and be like, yeah, we probably should have won that game. Feels pretty good. Yeah.
I genuinely
found
think
myself rooting for Tottenham.
Yeah,
Very rare,
man,
but I was
that's
like,
wild.
come on, man, pull it off.
the result sucks being up 2-0. Definitely sucks. You guys have kind of touched all the points of what we've known from Ten Hag. That's sort of the difference between a Man City and where United's at right now is they bring it every single game. I do think the one positive of it is if Eric Ten Hag had any doubts about Harry Kane being able to do what we need him to do, those are out the fucking window. Because I genuinely like Hoof said, I think that's what makes Harry Kane such a special player is when you see him do that in the second half. Against like by no means like, yeah, you can say like two not center backs, but Shaw and Lindelof have both been great. Our midfield is Casemiro, arguably one on his day, best defensive midfield in the league. And in the second half, Harry Kane just sort of picked them apart. And yeah. I genuinely like that's another reason, just like why I want him next year. From a United perspective, obviously shitty result. It's extremely embarrassing. Like I said the Liverpool comment because I almost think it's better. Like some days you just don't have it. Like you show up, you don't have it, you move on to the next one. Like what was it, Thursday? We brought it, had it for 45 minutes, and the mentality just shut off, and like it was a completely different team in the second half. And that's what makes me so much more mad is we have it, and then all of a sudden it's a polar opposite, completely different team. So 2-2, like before the game, I would have taken it. After being up 2-0, it definitely sucks. But at the same time, on to the next one and made it right on Sunday.
You have no idea how good it felt watching Eriksen come off the field with his hands on his head in complete frustration and disappointment after basically not showing up.
It does suck for him, but like
full circle.
When he's playing in the Champions League next year, he ain't gonna have any stresses in the world about Tottenham Hotspur.
You guys so miss both Varane and Martinez, and I think honestly you have to be given props because those when you really notice when you miss them, like how good they are, man. They've been incredible this season.
Yeah. The thing is though, is that like we say that for this game, and then like we can touch on the Aston Villa game if we want to, where we won 1-0 right after, and like Lindelof and Shaw were like two of the best players on the field. They were like great.
I told Hen at indoor that it made me angry, like actually talking out loud to myself, angry about how good Luke Shaw was. Like I was so pissed about his simple transition to the middle and being so good about it because that would never happen for a Spurs player. But yeah, he's been nails. Like
yeah, and of course we miss them. Like, you know, they're our first choice center backs, but I think, Dobes, you hit it on the head of saying like this is the difference between like where United is right now and where City is. It's the consistency. It's bringing it every single game. Ten Hag has talked about that in press conferences where we do have dips. We've alluded to 3 or 4 where we've been up and then we've let the game go. Like that is not a finished product. I want to. You brought it up earlier that we were like saying that we were in a title race for a month, which was a great feeling for a month. But like you see how far off we are in games like this where we can't kill it off. And like all credit to Spurs. Like it's not like, we're losing to Chelsea, but like, they still have moments of brilliance and they have throughout the season. But yeah, we're still pretty far off. We're still a couple of pieces away.
You guys
It's
bottled that
building.
title race.
Just like Arsenal.
Griff, come on, man. But we have a more exciting game involving Tottenham to talk about. But I will say, United did bounce back from this with a 1-0 game against Villa. Which by all means was a great victory. We've talked for the last couple of weeks about how Aston Villa is climbing their way up the table as well. Also Unai Emery, who historically has had our number, whether it be at Arsenal or whether it be coaching in Spain. He's always played well against United, and we played really well. I want to give a shout out to Lindelof, to Shaw, as we just mentioned, did come into that game with a huge response after not playing incredibly against Tottenham. Was really impressed with them. Also want to say De Gea's distribution in that game was fantastic. It is amazing what you can do when you don't feel like you have to force the ball into Harry Maguire's feet, and you can just play around. So excited to see what United does this upcoming week. We have West Ham return for David Moyes, but finally, last but not least, we got into what was one of the most, if not the craziest game of the Prem season this season, with a 4-3 win for Liverpool over Tottenham Hotspur. Heartbreaker, it was a fucking heartbreaker. I was rooting for you to do something in that game, man. But talk us through it. The first half collapsed, and what was the difference in the second half?
Where do you start, dude?
Probably like 2 minutes in. I think you start there.
Yeah. I woke up and I haven't seen any of the last weekend's goals against Spurs because I didn't watch the Newcastle game, which I still haven't and don't regret at all. And I woke up 10 minutes a little bit late for this one, pulled it up on my phone in bed. I was like, Like I laughed out loud, like just dead ass. Like, all right, put my phone back down, got up, made coffee. Yeah, dude. So we're relying.
Coffee.
Yeah, we're really hot. It was after the City game, so a couple sodas, as Butch said from previous night. So I like blacked out for a lot of this game. I watched it. I was very intent on it. I said to everyone that I wasn't watching it, and I very much so was. And the dire situation is an issue. The fact that they can't walk into a stadium and start playing when the match starts is insane. I think it goes. Conte said something pretty early in his tenure, and now it's very telling. And he's like, I don't think we have pressure-built players here. Like Harry Kane is a pressure-built player. I think Heung-min Son is a pressure-built player. I think he was off it this year in general. Also, still has 11 goals in the Premier League after we've all kind of dragged him through the mud, which he's deserved. But when you have that high of expectations, nobody else on that team's built for big games. Nobody else on that team's built for pressure. Nobody else on that team can block out noise at Anfield or the Emirates or St. James. That's an issue. The only time that these guys feel comfortable playing the game that they're prepared to play is when they're down. Like the game was gone, 2-0, down 10 minutes, no pressure. Pressure's off. All right, Anfield's rocking, whatever, but we can play with the ball now. Everything's cool. So that's the hardest part to watch, like, is the fact that they just keep conceding so early. You're not going to win games like that. The flip side of the coin is they look fucking electric going forward. Like, they look so good going forward. The talent level gap from top to bottom on the team is so top heavy. and it's been like this. This isn't new to anybody. So I wasn't. That's why I didn't turn the game off. I was like, I have 100% confidence that Harry Kane gets one this half. The Salah pen was deserved, fine. Whatever. The Harry Kane goal was beautiful. The build up to that goal was
the finish, bro.
No more than 2 touches.
That Virgil off the hook here. Yeah.
Perisic put him on skates, dude. There's
real
videos
bad.
of it. It looked. I thought he got hurt. Like I thought.
I thought he tore his ACL.
His ankle. Yeah. I saw him go down, and the camera's still up close, so I didn't see where the ball was being crossed to. It was great finish, technical, Mr. Inevitable. But there's fight in the team. Sonny scores and runs over to Ryan Mason. Like, there's so much to enjoy. Richie's goal was a fucking all-timer. It was an all-time celebration at Anfield, shirtless in front of the stands, everything that he deserved and more. And Lucas Moura, the other Brazilian guy on the team, touches the ball one time in the game. It is the backwards pass to who? We don't know. Jota picks it up. And before
was that literally his only touch of the game?
I'm not. I think it might have been. I'm not confident if he touched.
What
the
was
ball.
he thinking,
dude? I said this last night to Hoover. Like even if he connects that pass, it's a terrible pass. Like
it's
a hospital pass. Yeah,
that's a Ryan Mason decision that is 100% allowed to be under scrutiny because Pedro Porro looked fucking great. He has looked really good in the last couple of games and is pulling his shit together to actually look like a competent right back. He looked great. I understand needing attacking substitutions in where we were in the game before that Richie goal. Fine. To Pedro Porros, just tell him to move up more. Don't bring on Lucas Moura, who's never played in a right back position in his life, just so that he can maybe whip a cross in. I thought that one was the wrong decision. All of this ultimately culminates around the fact that Diogo Jota spiked Oliver Skip in the head and was on the field to score the winner in the 96th. So I won't let it slide that Skip had an orange. He had an orange card earlier in the game. I'm not willing to go out on a limb and be like, that's a deserved red. I was fighting Flan in the group chat about it. From the angle that on the TV, it looked like he got the end of like the flesh between his foot and his shin. If it's an inch higher, I think that's straight red. He's off the field. That one, Henry's background right now with metal studs to the side of his face that made the guy bleed and have to get subbed off. I
couldn't believe that shit, bro. I couldn't believe it.
And everyone glanced over it. The commentary's like, oh, just looks like a high boot, deserved yellow. And I was like, what? The players weren't even losing their mind. The players were like, they were, asking questions originally, but then Oliver Skip's on the ground for 5 minutes. I would have been losing it, dude. I would have been melting down. And for Ryan Mason to go into the press game or the post game and be like, he 100% deserves to see red is rather valid coming from a guy who had his career ended by a concussion. So, what? Like, where is that decision even remotely sane? If Skip gets sent off prior, I don't think I could be that angry about it. This one is undeniable. I don't have a ton else to say. I was absolutely fucking devastated. I was texted Henry and Dubs that I was like shaking angry in the shower after because of all of it, and I just had to move on with my day. But those are my thoughts. It was fine. I'm glad they scored some goals. Richie deserved that, but fuck me, dude. Fuck.
This is that game that you wish on your enemy. Like they're getting beat bad. They have all this fight back. The guy that hasn't scored.
They get the hope. That little bit of hope.
Scores, shirts off.
It's the hope that kills us,
30 seconds
lads.
later, it's gone.
Yeah. Shushes the entire crowd.
Oh man,
Dude, yes, it's hilarious. The video you sent me, bro, Hoove, where that guy was like
Oh.
fake commentating the game, where he, like Richarlison scores and he like turns and talks to like his co-host and being like, "This is incredible. There's nothing like it. This is why the game is so great. They battled back." And like while he's ranting on, Liverpool's already scored.
Yeah.
It's awesome, bro.
The expressions video. The
Dude.
expressions video. He literally goes,
man,
let's hold it down, blood.
Dude, the content that's come from it, I can't even deny. It's been fucking exceptional. Like everything about that expressions video had me in tears, dude.
Yeah.
99
Also thought it
seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
99 seconds between goals.
I thought it was hilarious that once they scored, they like I don't know if it was immediate, but like soon after they scored, they immediately panned to Richie's reaction. He was just like,
He was devastated.
yeah, absolutely.
I think what's so tough with that too is like, you know, as a fan, you feel responsible for like the whole team, you know, but like Richarlison, he did all he could do. Like he came on as a sub, he scored the goal, he riled the crowd up, he did all that just for one guy not to do his job and fuck everything else. Like that's a tough look. So I think panning to Richarlison is hilarious, but in that moment I'm like, dog, like
dude. Playing Lucas Moura, who again, we've had this discussion a couple times on the pod, is not playing for Spurs after this year. He is going somewhere in Turkey, is continuing to get play time. If you're not telling me that some right back 18-year-old kid who's sitting on the bench isn't going to A, not make that pass, or B, do something better, get him in. Why is Lucas Moura doing this? Like
maybe Jed Spence would have been, you know, a good sub.
Who knows, dude? We've gone through this carousel.
Oh, go ahead, Ann.
You go ahead,
from
bro.
From a Liverpool perspective, it's kind of crazy, man. Like a year ago, 2 years ago, this game would be 6. Like it'd be over and it'd be vicious, and we'd be like, they're incredible. But like, what a fall from grace they've had this season, man. I know Butchie isn't here, but like, it's crazy. I think we're used to it now, but like, they were fighting City for years. Like they have they had 100 points one year or 97, like, and it's the same players. And they've got Nunez besides Mane. They've got Nunez and everybody else. And, like, they're coming into form. But, like, what is going on there, man?
This game was exactly how both teams' seasons have been. Like, I said this. I literally said it to Griff. We were sitting there watching the game, sitting there eating breakfast. And I literally said that Tottenham was going to come back. Because, like, I literally watched Spurs do it on Thursday to us to where they were completely dead and then all of a sudden turned it on. And how many times have we seen Liverpool this season? Like, think of the Real Madrid game. They were up 2-0, like, bottled it nearly before halftime. So, like, it's just the way both of these teams' seasons have been. Like, when on, they're fucking fantastic. And when they're not, like, they completely collapse. Like, it took a Lucas Moura mistake for Liverpool to get a point, to get 3 points out of that game when they definitely didn't deserve to.
What's the Hoove? I know that you have Crystal Palace coming up, which, as we've mentioned, Roy Hodgson's did an amazing job rescuing them out of the depths. But you know, with this loss, you got jumped by Liverpool in the position in the table, and they also have a game in hand. And so I know Liverpool has a couple of tough battles. Like they have Brentford, they have Fulham. Without Tim Ream, maybe we'll see how long that injury is. But what are you feeling about like top 4 Europe? Any hopes? Any thoughts?
No, I wouldn't say there's any real hopes. I've said it before, dude. I think to a certain degree, no Europe would be good. I think to a certain degree, no Europe is a rebuilding situation to where you just fucking play the league and do well in the league. Like Arsenal did it. Just give us a fucking Newcastle's done it. Just give us a break.
Chelsea will do it.
That Chelsea's gonna do it. Yeah, that might be great. Like, so I don't know. I think Europa League would be fine. You know, whatever. Frankly, European competition's okay if you have depth and the ability to play players and do okay in the competition. That you're not like, you know, dropping points in the league. So Spurs have not really ever had that level of depth. I don't have a ton of hopes for top four. I think top four's gone. I think there's a chance you get fifth if you win out some games, but having to play Villa away and Leeds at home on the last day. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the one that I'm the most scared for. Those are events that, make me nervous. So I think I don't give a fuck what we get if Nagelsmann's our coach. Like if he's playing Europa Conference League, sweet, whatever. If that means he gets to watch some more guys play, then good. If he wants European, then I, hope maybe we get Europa and go on. It's just like nothing can happen. And there's no hopes that can be built until you have something to put that foundation on. There's not anything that convinces me about this team. Like Harry Kane could leave. This team could get completely redone. We don't get Nagelsmann. Ryan Mason's the coach. What do you get excited about there? Like without a couple of these guys, we're mid-table. So,
yeah, very
pretty
true.
Optimistic. Pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, super Spursy response. So that rounds out our weekend recap or our weekly recap of our Prem teams. Obviously, we went a little long on that one, but we had some juicy games. We had some things that we had to talk through. So before we transition into St. Louis City, which again will be juicy, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to move into our weekly flowers and our weekly shower segment. Connor Sindobri, this one is yours this week.
Happy to do it, fellas. I'm going to go non-league with my flowers this week. As I'm sure we know, a couple weeks ago, yes, Wrexham did win the non-league National League title. That's fantastic. That's not the reason they're getting my flowers this week. It just came out. ESPN just released it today that the Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are actually flying entire Wrexham team to Vegas for a week-long celebration. So my flowers this week is going to the Wrexham players because I can't imagine an all expenses paid trip on Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds in Vegas is going to be like. So shout out to those lads. I hope they have the fucking time of their life.
I hope they have cameras rolling.
Oh, they need to. Yeah, well,
they have to, bro. They have to for the content.
All up in the Vegas trip.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so my showers, we kind of touched on him a bunch, but it has to be Richarlison. I'm so sorry, who we talked about this a lot, but like, there's a Richarlison's Premier League season tweet that I saw that lists his involvements. We have goal, take shirt off, disallowed, and he's booked. We have goal, take shirt off, disallowed, sent off. We have goal, take shirt off, does chicken dance, booked, Liverpool go up the other end and win it anyway. So that is Richarlison's goal involvements this year. So sorry, Richie, hit the shower.
Spectacular.
Real talk. I mean, with that, is Richarlison the biggest flop of the season?
He's up there.
I was saying that. Yeah,
He's up there.
I'm comfortable with agreeing with that.
There's a bunch
expectation
that can be, but I think
I think if we're looking at a year next year where he is Harry Kane, I think we can expect a completely different player. But yeah, I'm cool with him being a flop.
No. Yeah, his first one was
he took his shirt off.
That's why he took his shirt off.
Come on.
I don't think Aubameyang has one.
Yeah, but 60 million for Richie.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, 60 million to put him in a right wing slot because you can't play him as a striker. What the fuck are we doing, bro?
We've already said it, but the fact he hit the fucking chicken dance, man, and then like 60 seconds later, Anfield was rocking.
Dude, he pulled the Diego Dalot when he scored his goal. He had 7 celebrations ready to go. Like he had the shirt off, he had the chicken dance, he had everything. He's ready to go. Crowd. So, gentlemen, we lost this last weekend, the St. Louis City MLS team. We lost 2-1 to Portland, which is a heartbreaker after winning against them at home. Or excuse me, away. We won against them earlier in the season. We were without Klaus up top, which I think was definitely noticeable. Now Connor has his video off. I don't know if that's because he's doing something or it's because he was also not watching this weekend. But Nick, Griff, if you got to watch, give us the breakdown, fellas, of this game. what happened and where are we starting to see some weak points of this team?
I think you kind of hit it on the head for one thing that I wanted to take, or one thing that I took away from the game was the absence of Klaus. I think was huge. Just having his presence on the field and that leadership, I think is huge. I think a lot of, and it could just be the MLS, but like we had a lot of heavy touches this game, and I think our technical technical ability really showcased that like it's not necessarily all that there and that's not our strong suit. I also think like our press wasn't as good, and I think that is without Klaus. Once again, like I think he's kind of our leader when it comes to pressing and moving the defensive forward. Another takeaway that I have kind of always thought was Stroud kind of being a little sus sometimes. I think he's a good player at moments, but I definitely also think he has a lot of mistakes in him at times. And I think that's a good point that we have here on our outline as well. But yeah, those were some of my takeaways that I had in this loss. But hey, it's a team that I'm excited to watch on the weekend, so I'm not going to hate on them too much.
Yeah, it's definitely a depth thing. And I think that was one of the glaring concerns up front, but we're an expansion side too. Like
absolutely,
you're not gonna have the level of depth and youth players that you need to be able to cycle as you can. But Gioacchini can't play a 9. And I don't think that's his fault. I just don't think that's his position. So pushing him up to have him as the 9 and Lowen kind of come in and drop underneath him, hold Lowen out of the middle, which I don't think was great. He was lively. Like Lowen's our best player, I think, dude. Yes. He's so good on the ball. He's so smart with it. When he's up higher, he doesn't have the effect that he can, I think, through the middle. But yeah, you mentioned that earlier that you thought Miggy getting pulled was not the correct call, and I kind of agree. He was playing well. It was a bummer to see him go off for sure.
Yeah, and I think what was consistent with that was like we also went to the game on Tuesday when we played in the U.S. Open Cup, and we won comfortably. A lot of our backups got to play, and I made a comment on Tuesday night where like Miggy started the game in the first half being miles off of it. Like, I mean, he was non-existent, and when he was on the ball, it was not good. But in the second half, he got on the ball a ton. He really grew into the game, and he looked like he was one of the better players on the field. I actually kind of felt the same way about this game, and I don't think that he started as slow, but like I thought that he grew into the game with every minute passing, and the 10 15 minutes that he was on the field in the second half, I thought that those were his best 10 15 minutes of the entire game. So I don't know if the sub was pre-planned, but I felt like it was really out of place when it happened. And I mentioned, what was it, 2 weeks ago, that I want to see Miggy like get it on the ball more. He was on the ball a lot in that second half. So I was really disappointed in seeing that. And to your point with Gioacchini, like he's not a 9. I don't know if he's developed enough yet in his game to bear the responsibility of being a solo 9. I think that it takes a lot of not only like you have to know the game really well, but it is a lot of pressure to do that. I see Nick Haflinger when he hops on pro clubs, he bears the responsibility of being a 9. He bags 3 goals a game, but it's not pro clubs out there, man. It's the MLS. It's a little bit harder. And to touch on Stroud,
just a little.
Yeah, just a little. I don't know. I'm on a little bit of like I don't want to say fraud watch, because I feel like that's really extreme with Stroud. But
I don't think
he
it
scored
is.
he scored a couple goals beginning of the season, which is great. But I feel like he is on a little bit of he might be a nutcase watch.
I think that's confirmed. He's a psycho.
Yeah, I don't think that's a secret.
Dude, I mean, like I'm watching some of these like takes that he has of like, yelling at his teammates, or like what looks like, we don't know what's happening on the field, but yelling back at the coach. Like, I don't know what it is. There was a couple of times in this game where a pass was clearly on and he just didn't play it and then was yelling at the other guy. I mean, it was weird. depth is going to be a thing as we move through our first season. We still trust Lutz a lot, and if we need to back up 9, maybe he'll go out and get a 9 in the transfer window. But I was not impressed.
The handball sucked.
The handball sucked.
The handball sucked.
If you were watching on TV, I'm sure you could tell. But I mean, for 30 minutes of the game, rain and wind came out of absolutely nowhere. Guys were losing their footing right, left, and center. And on that particular one, our defender lost his footing, hit his hand when he was on the ground, which we've made very clear in the Prem is not a handball. It's certainly not a pen because it's happened a million times this season, and it was against us. So I think that's unfortunate. There's also some curious questioning about a foul in the lead up to the goal. Like, I think
ref
was
horrible.
Unlucky.
I'm
terrible.
Just atrocious.
They're all bad, so it's just something that we're gonna have to get used to. But I don't feel like we've got a decision that's really gone our way. Like anything, it's just felt just so slanted. I thought Hebert played great, which was a huge bummer because of that pen. Hebert was he really. I was worried about his ball distribution of the ball at his feet. He was better than Tim Parker, I thought, and at least getting the ball to guys. And finding passing lanes. Tim Parker kind of old school, man. Just boot that bitch. Like, get that ball. You're under pressure. Fuck it.
No bullshit.
No
bullshit. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch on, though, that you guys were talking about earlier was with Miggy Perez. As long as he's getting minutes, I'm happy because he's only 17 years old. And I think as time goes on and more experience.
Pattonville Pirate.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think he's still so young that like as long as he's getting on the field and getting touches on the ball, I'm happy. Like I think he has a future with us, and hopefully he continues to get minutes and succeed.
Yeah, if he doesn't get picked up by another club.
True.
Griff, you had a special little relationship to this game. Share with the fans what happened in this game.
We, first, obviously we hate to see any injuries. So, prayers up for the Portland player that got injured, but have to give props to the team that handled his injury. And one in particular, the one you want to see right there, that's my wife right there. Look at her. Taking care of professional athletes. Concerned, maybe, but proud. Definitely proud.
He said, "My wife."
My wife.
Yeah, we love it. For what it's worth, sucks for that dude. He literally just got back from injury too. Like just got back from injury and right away.
His ACL or something went. It was pretty evident. It went gone. Yeah, it was gone.
Before we move on, because you are correct, Henry. I did not watch a second of the game, so apologies. I don't have anything to add, but I did watch the game on Tuesday, and I just want to shout out I don't know if you guys saw the rumors about Azeal Jackson, or if you mentioned him. I apologize.
Yeah, dude.
About him being pursued by, I think it was Leverkusen and Hanover, at least.
Paderborn, yeah.
And Paderborn as well. I think that, because what is the deal with him sort of in like playing in real games? Like, you guys who watch a little more, fill me in. Like, what's the reason? Because he played against Omaha and was like the standout player, scored twice, was absolutely all over the field. He's being linked to top clubs in Germany now, and yet we've barely seen him at all for like the first team in the MLS.
I think to be honest with you, I think that Carnell doesn't want to play with wingers. I think Butch called this out like week 3, I think it was, where we play like a 4-4-2 or like in defense, like, or in transition, it's like a 4-2-3-1, but everyone is really tight because on Tuesday, not only was Jackson, but Pompeo and Jensen, 30, they were high and wide, and they were taking guys on one-on-one, which is something that we've been critical of us not doing that over the last, several weeks. So I think Jackson's at his best when he is wide and he's going at guys. There's several examples where like Akil Watts and him would like combine, where Jackson would kind of like run at guys, diagonally, Akil Watts would overlap. I don't know why he's not playing, to answer the question. I just don't think that Carnell in these actual games wants to play with wingers. I think he likes that narrow inverted winger.
He didn't make much of an appearance when he came on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, who was he getting the ball to? That was the issue. Like, who was in the
No
box
one.
for these crosses
No
when
one.
they were getting in these wide positions, and they did start to look dangerous at the very end of the game. We got a goal off it. The goal was some slick buildup, and it came from those direct diagonal passes, and there was just no more of it. There was nothing else that came from that.
Yeah.
But
So who knows? Maybe if Klaus is out this weekend, we play Dallas. Dallas is middle of the table to bottom of the table, but they do have some guys who are dangerous on that team. I think that Jesus Ferreira is still on that team. He sometimes plays for the U.S. men's national team. You never know if he's going to get the call up, so he can always be dangerous out there. So we'll see if they bounce back, and if Klaus is back, that'll be huge. And if he's not, we'll see what formation we play. But Dobes, we're going to end this episode with a factor cap, and you have it. Lay it on us. I've
been seeing this sort of being debated on Twitter. I've seen a bunch of different TikToks sort of talking about this, and I genuinely think it's a super interesting debate. We've sort of debated this already a little bit earlier in the season, but factor cap, Erling Haaland is the best player in the world.
This is tough, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Who wants to go first? Who wants to kick it off? Whoever goes first sort of sets the standard here.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. I think
Mickey?
at the moment it's fact. I think what he's doing in front of goal, and his ability to put the ball in the net, we haven't seen, or I haven't seen. I think he's an alien, and I think he makes one of the best teams even better, which is hard to do. But yeah, I think he's the best player in the world right now. Definitely. I think it's fact.
Okay.
When's the Ballon d'Or? Is that in the winter every year, right? It's yearly, like calendar year.
I think if he wins the treble, I think he's definitely
he wins
more than in the conversation.
Dude, treble? Are you kidding me? I think if he puts in another 20 goals in the first half of next season, that's like 100-something goals. Like that. That's isn't this
year the
stat.
Ballon d'Or like season by season though? Is it not calendar year anymore?
I think
isn't it like season to season?
I think it's season to season. So like, but
did they switch that?
Because the World Cup was in. I think it's because the World Cup was during the season,
in the middle of the thing.
Okay. Yeah. I have a hard time not saying that he's the best player in the world right now, but I hate saying that because he's going to get so much better. Like it makes me sick to even think about that, because I think he's going to be one of the best players, if not the best, for the next really fucking long time. So,
two facts,
I guess.
Yeah. It helps he's on City. I mean, I think that plays a role, but
that's a great thing to call out. Yeah,
that's true.
Like I'm curious if you put Mbappe. No, 100%. But you combine a robot on a super team, and then you have this robot super team guy, absolutely. And it's like, oh yeah, he's good. Like I'd love to see him and Mbappe in the same league, just go toe to toe. But yes, the
Qatar in.
Qatar in, baby. We may have it.
Qatar in.
No.
And
I want to make an argument for no, but the only argument that I can make is not his fault. You know, like it's not his fault that he's at City. It's not his fault that, you know, De Bruyne is doing what De Bruyne is doing and serving in the balls that he's serving in. I just think right now he is. I think he is the best player in the world. And it's different than I just legitimately can't think of another player that not only has had the impact on the team.
That was the hard part for me too.
But like I'm not like as concerned because like he's not Messi, right? Like Messi can completely
that was the first name that I thought of.
Yeah, from like any position on the field, he can pick up the ball deep. We know that Haaland's not doing that, but the effect that he has on the other team and what he makes the other team do, I just don't know if there's anyone else in the world doing that right now. Mbappe is truthfully the only other person that I could say is doing that, but Mbappe's kind of not had a great year by his standards. And also I think he's just a fucking diva, so I don't really want to deal with that.
So he's like Stroud and Netherlands.
Yeah, Holland is like the least problematic superstar in the entire
And
world. Like he's
I was
just
gonna
like,
say the when he talks about how he just wants to score a goal and like
Yeah.
score goals, I'm just like, this man, that's literally what he was like brought on earth to do. Like,
pause. I'm going cap as fuck.
okay.
whoa.
I'm going cap as fuck.
Do you have an answer for who is?
No. I think.
Oh, well, that's fucking annoying.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
what
kicker.
the hell?
I think I'd probably go Messi, honestly.
Okay.
But when I think of a footballer, playing football is not just putting the ball in the back of the net. It's so much more than just being
It's
a
like
goal scorer.
it's like 90% though.
I mean, you could say that, but is it like what Holland is doing is amazing. He's the best goal scorer. He's the best finisher in the entire world. I can name probably 10 to 15 strikers that have more attributes than him. I can name probably 10 different players who play in the midfield that could, go up and score goals like that or do more that he can do and have more of an all-around game. So if he wins the Ballon d'Or because he scores so many goals, like, yes, you can say that he may deserve it. But to me, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the best footballer in the world. He's the best goal scorer. He's the one that scored the most goals. But at
I
the
was
same
basing
time,
whole conversation off Ballon d'Or, but
yeah, but to me, like there's been years where you think about it, like Ronaldo has scored so many fucking goals, he's won Ballon d'Ors, but like I think overall footballer, Messi has continuously been a better
Yeah.
overall footballer. Like so, yes, like the Ballon d'Or is like you can say it's the best.
okay,
in the
I know
world,
you're going. Yep.
but at the same time, it's like he has to win 3 trophies to be in that conversation.
Mhm.
Like, and he also has to score 50 goals, which is awesome. But part of that is a team thing. And then he scores goals. I'm just saying there's more all around footballers. I'm not trying to take anything away from Holland. If he wins the Ballon d'Or, he probably fully well deserves it. I just think there's more well-rounded,
Yep.
full footballers than just goal scoring. Which
Well, let me ask you this: does that mean, like, with that logic, that like the only players that can be in that echelon are like midfielders or like people that kind of play? Because like Messi isn't a midfielder, but he can drop into that like 10 role. Does that mean that like forwards and defenders or keepers even are never going to be in that conversation?
I mean, keepers would definitely be in the conversation. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing is I think that's like sort of the beauty of the sport is like somebody that does their role is extremely important. But I think the best football players in the world can play multiple roles.
Yeah.
By no means am I saying Luke Shaw is better than Holland, but I'm saying
Flip
like
it.
as an overall footballer, like the players that can play everywhere, like Xavi, Iniesta, those guys never won a Ballon d'Or. Wayne Rooney never won a Ballon d'Or. But I think all of those players are more well-rounded
Yeah,
like
100%.
players than Erling Haaland is. And that's my whole thing is like Haaland may win the award because he scores the most goals and wins the most trophies this year. But I do think that like I would take a Jude Bellingham over him in a heartbeat. I think Jude can do everything, and like in a heartbeat. When it comes to scoring goals, I would take Haaland. But when it comes to who's the better overall footballer, Jude in a heartbeat. That's just my whole approach to it.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. I completely understand the argument.
Yeah,
I was in whose camp as well of like thinking of like Ballon d'Or, like who's going to win the trophy. I just can't see anyone else winning. And like the eye test doesn't lie. Like we've known for 20 years that Messi's the best player that we've ever seen. Doesn't mean that he's won that trophy every year, and I get that.
And you're making Holland seem like he's completely incompetent of doing all the other aspects besides scoring goals. When
I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he won't get there, but he's not even half Harry Kane's level when it comes to
he's not.
play.
But he did bring something completely different to the table against Arsenal, which
Sure
I
did.
think
And that's
is
my
where
thing
we're
is-
seeing the growth. Like
That's
that's
my
where it's
thing
coming
is
from.
he'll only get better, but at this current moment, I just don't like he's not there for me. Like I think I think it's very easy to do it in the city side to where like you have Kevin De Bruyne as your false nine running back to you. You're dropping it off to fucking Rodri. And then he's slipping it to Bernardo Silva, who's playing Mahrez in, and Holland makes a 60-yard run and gets laid on his head. Like what Kane does at Tottenham is often more impressive than what Holland is doing at City. Yes, he's a freak, but like Kane does it all.
Nick, do you want to weigh in on that Kane versus Holland argument?
I think the numbers show.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Harry Kane
All right,
would
we
have
can
at
move on.
least the same season that Holland's having on that team, but we can let
And
that
that is a different conversation for a different day. My friends, that concludes this week's episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. Congratulations on making it through this one. Griff did have to dip out. I can't believe that he didn't dip out sooner, to be honest with you. But to the rest of you, good job tonight.
Poor kid, hung in
Dude,
there.
I mean, just let him have it.
Yeah,
He
he
hung
stuck
in there.
around, bro.
Listeners, for what it's worth, Dobes texted Lucas Winkleman halfway through the podcast just saying like this is a good one for him to miss, and Griff is definitely bearing the responsibility of being an Arsenal fan on this episode. Thanks for listening. As always, follow us on all of our socials. We have some exciting games upcoming, and the relegation battle is on. We didn't talk about it, but Dortmund fucked up again, let Bayern get back to the top of the table over in Germany. So only time will tell on what's going to happen. Another bottle. Cheers, lads. Good work.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, boys.
Yep.